I teach a lot of private students. The first thing that shows up is they can't read at all, let alone sight read.
Sight reading is an essential skill for so many styles of music. I am called upon to sight read all the time. I discovered this incredible resource from a bass teaching legend, and in today's video we're going to dig into how you can use this to help develop your sight reading skills. We dig into topics like this and much more on our weekly email newsletter. We send out complimentary sheet music each month, and it's a great way to stay connected with the bass community. If you're not on the list, consider subscribing. Bruce Gertz has done it all. He's been teaching at Berklee for nearly 50 years, and he can attest, as can I, that sight reading is one of those things that people need, but it's so tricky to develop.
So you got to break it down. Okay, let's do the notes first, then we'll do the rhythms. And then we'll try to put it together. You know, you have to kind of do little pieces at a time, and then bigger sections, and then et cetera, and then you have to teach them how to look ahead.
So this music sight reading app, or it's really an Apple book, but it is essentially an app, so you need an iPad, but if you have an iPad kicking around, download this. I have been loving it, and I've been loving it for a whole bunch of reasons. One of which is that it makes you move your eyes the way you really need to when you're sight reading. And if you think about how your eyes process words on a page, and especially if you're reading out loud, you're actually looking at the next word while you're pronouncing the previous word, or maybe you're reading a few words ahead, and that's a skill that you have to develop as a musician to sight read. Also, there is the incredible urge to stop and correct mistakes. So what Bruce has designed here is super cool. It's duets, it's trios, and it's quartets. And it's drawn from some of our favorite composers, so you're not just reading random notes that are being generated by an app. Those can be useful too, but I really like that there's a lot of material in here, but it's actual music, it's lines, it's phrases that you would play, and you're going to have a lot of fun with this. So if we dig into this, you can choose a tempo. We're going to go slow. I almost always like to go slow. And then we can play both voices, or we can turn them on or off. I'll start with both on. So it's just scrolling. You're just letting your eyes follow. And then you can turn that voice or just that voice on.
When I was a student, I had a good teacher, and he used to get a bunch of bass players together and put all these charts on stands, and we'd play. On Saturdays after the lesson, you'd have like a few more guys in the room, and we'd all pump through these duets and trios and things. I thought, well, that'd be a good thing to have on an app now, because we didn't have any apps then.
So let's try this. I just love the endless scroll and just how it forces your eye to just sort of stay engaged. I find myself really locking in, and he included tempos slow enough that you can process this without too much worry. Consider trying pizzicato at first. That eliminates the bow, and it's just a really cool way to make this all happen.
I have experimented with all different kinds of ways with my students. I would just pull out a book of orchestra excerpts or a book of etudes and have students read with or without a metronome. And I have had some successes with other apps, but I really like this approach that Bruce takes with these duets and trios and quartets.
Bach is always great. We got some Mozart here too. I'll go a little fast with Mozart. We'll do 70. We'll start with both voices. to be a little fast for sight reading. That's a challenge for me.
What I did was I took, pieces from books that had piano accompaniments, things like that, and I took the bass part and transcribed it for the range of our instrument, minus the low C's and stuff, because in order to maintain the integrity of the lines, sometimes you had to take entire sections up or down an octave. Otherwise, you'd have, a funny jump here and there. And so it was actually quite a bit of work with the editing to do that and proofreading it hundreds of times.
It's all older music, but there is a lot of stylistic variety right here. And we'll get into the Bach air. We're going to go kind of slow on this one. I'll pick 50. Duets alone would be enough, but I love that he also got into trios and quartets, and it's really cool to process all of this. So let's check out this Mendelssohn Nocturne. We'll keep it slow. I'll be the third voice. Practice the middle voice. It's a really good ear training app too, just listening to and looking at these different perspectives. I have been playing around with this a little bit every day since I downloaded it, and it's just a great way to get a little bit of quote-unquote ensemble playing in my practicing in addition to sight reading. And with these trios, now you've got 3 different lines to read. You can change the tempos, you can do it pizzicato, you can do it arco. Very cool.
There's this hierarchy when you're practicing sight reading, and the first thing to get is rhythm. Get the rhythm, just practice playing an open string and making sure that you're getting the correct rhythm. And then after rhythm, pitch. Get as many pitches as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect. It won't be perfect. And just get used to going on. And if you can get the other details like dynamics or even slurs, dots, all that kind of stuff, that's great, but that's kind of dressing on the cake. It really just rhythm, metronome practice, and just making sure that you are comfortable continuing to go all the time. The train will not stop for you, so you just have to get accustomed to making a mistake and keeping it rolling.
And then quartets. So you get to read some great Bach chorales here. Let's start with everything again. Taking it slow today. Maybe I'll do the second voice. So let's try turning up the tempo on this one. I will maybe try the first voice now. And in addition to this wonderful resource, a great way to also develop your sight reading is to just read a lot of music. And a great way to start is pick up a lot of sheet music. We've got a great video linked up here that will dive into that. See you there, and thanks for watching.